This is the full tutorial on how to make this map animation in DaVinci Resolve. This tutorial will go through everything: where to find map assets, how to create 3D environments, how to create a country outline without needing to draw it yourself, and how to make your animation look stunning. So you better buckle up. If you want the project files for this, just click the first link in the description. So first of all, what you gotta do is go to snazzymaps.com, and over here I picked this Assassin's Creed one. Just click on that. This is like a map screenshotter, I guess. We need the country Jordan because I'm creating a short related to that. So first of all, you just press this little search icon. By the way, if you're from Jordan, shout out to you. What you gotta do is just press up here, download image. As you can see, you can put this cursor anywhere on the map. And then I make the scale factor 3 times, and then all you gotta do is just press download image. And now we go to openstreetmap.org. This is gonna give us the outline of the country, because who bothers outlining the flipping country? Type up Jordan in my case. So we first click on this, and then we open this layers tab. So what we do now is we just gotta switch it once, and then it'll start loading, and you gotta get the screenshot while it's loading. So 3, 2, 1, got it. Okay, so you just get the screenshot, boom. Now you open up Photoshop, just magic mask it out. I mean, magic mask, is that a magic mask? Magic wand. And what I do is I just put a little color overlay on it just to make it white, and that's it. You just export as PNG into the map folder, and that's all. So now we go into DaVinci Resolve. This is the good part. This is the good part. So now with DaVinci Resolve open, we get a fusion composition out. So search out fusion composition, just have to drag it down here, open it in the fusion page, and now we get our 2 images. We just have to slot them right in. Now we can make our 3D environment. Press shift space. So first get a merge 3D node, get a camera 3D node, and a render 3D node. Connect the render 3 to media out, and this merge 3D is basically going to be our 3D environment. So if we just drag this to the middle here, we can drag this to our second preview here to see our 3D environment. And on the right here is our final render. So with these 2 images, just delete this merge over here. And with these 2 images, first let's rename them. So this one is the map, and this is the outline. Now we get an image plane 3D. This will make our image into a 3D object. So all we gotta do is just put our images, slot the images right inside there, and then get another image plane 3D and just slot that image right inside there. And now we just gotta connect these 3D images into this merge 3D, and as you can see, it's already popping up. Let's get our other one in, and there we go. By the way, if you wanna move in the 3D viewer, all you have to do is hold Alt and hold down the scroll button, and you can rotate. Or if you want to zoom in and out, you can hold Control and then scroll. And if you just want to move around normally, you just hold the scroll button and just like drag around. So now this outline is kind of massive, but we'll fix that. So if we just open the image plane 3D on the outline PNG, we go up to the transform, and then we just go to translation. We can go to the Z position and just move that forward just a little bit so it doesn't clip. And then you scroll down, and we can scale it down. So let's just scale it down to a good size, move it around with the translation. There we go. Okay, maybe don't move it too far off, or else it's gonna look a little bit weird. Just say 0.001 or something like that. Boom, perfect. That looks pretty good to me. If you see down here, there's like a little weird thing down here. I don't really want that. So for our map over here, let's just move this down. And before it becomes a 3D object, I want to crop this PNG. You just have to hold shift and just slot it right in. And it's a little bit cooked. Okay, just go to auto crop and just press auto crop, and then go back to the crop area. So if we just do that, it gets removed. And now we're gonna have to also readjust this outline, sadly. On this right panel, let's make it show up in the camera. So if we go up to camera 3D, we go to transform and just increase the Z position. So now you can see it's already rendering it in 3D. It's a little bit off center, so let's just center it a little bit. So now let's just make our zoom in animation first, and then we'll make all the awesome effects after. Also, if your fusion composition isn't long enough, you could just go back to the edit page and just make it a bit longer. I don't know how long I need it, but let's just do that much. All right, let's go back into the fusion page and let's animate this camera. So let's go back here. We just got to press this keyframe button. By the way, yeah, there is transparency around here, but I'll tell you how to fix that. And then let's just move our playhead all the way to the end and make it super close up. Also, we can adjust the angle of view. So I just want it a bit higher, and so I can zoom in a bit more so it'll give it more of a perspective effect. And then let's go to the spline editor. Let's tick camera 3D. Let's press Control F, Control A, and press S to smooth. It's a bit slow. Let's quickly make it a bit faster. Let's make it a way more faster. Now let's adjust these keyframes. So if you just press Control A and just press T, then you can see these two sliders, which just make it super easy to make keyframes. Boom. And then let's just increase the ease out too. Boom. All right, it's not looking that bad. Now let's make this look amazing. So first of all, let's turn off the spline editor. We're not going to need that for right now. And now for outline, let's just move this down once. And before it gets made into a 3D object, I want to put some glow on it. So let's say soft glow, and then just hold shift to slot it right in. And look, we can already see there's a bit of a glow, and just increase the glow size. And I'm pretty happy with that. Look, that's the difference. That's a massive difference. Oh my God. Now that we have a glow, if it runs a bit slow in your system, you could just turn it off until you render. But for right now, I'm just going to leave it on because I can run it. Now what we do is we want to add some lights into this scene. So in Render 3D, click Render 3D. First of all, change the render type to hardware render. That's almost always going to be faster. And then we go down to lighting and let's enable lighting and shadows. Just check those boxes. And now you can see it's completely black now. So now we have to add some lights into our scene. Let's add a point light, which is this one. And then all we got to do is just connect this point light to the merge 3D. Just go to transform and increase the Z position. This is going to look crazy right now, but just bear with me. Over here, change it from no decay to quadratic. This will make it look better. Let's go back to transform and just make it a bit closer. You're going to have to fine tune this a little bit. There. The shadows are there and the light is mainly in the middle. All right, that's not looking too bad. The colors are going to look really quite bland right now, but we will fix that later in the video. So now that you have all this, you basically have the main fundamental parts of this animation. And now we just have to add in our post-process effects to make this look stunning. So now that we have this node graph over here, let's just make it a little bit more neater. Okay, let's move media out to the side and we're going to add a camera shake node. So camera shake, let's add this one and then hold shift, slot it right in. And now it's going to shake a little bit much. That's a bit too much of a shake. Let's just literally bring the overall strength down to 0 and let's keyframe this. So let's keyframe the overall strength at 0 and then let's just go to when this animation ends, which is about over here, and just keyframe it again, but just a little bit higher maybe. Okay, so now my PC is kind of struggling. Let's just turn off this soft glow and turn off the lighting and shadows. Let's just make it normal. Okay, that's a bit better. But when you render, you could just turn these lighting and shadows back on and turn the soft glow back on and it'll be perfect. Okay, that's decent. I think I want more of a slower shake. So let's bring down the speed, maybe to 0.3. But let's also go in the middle over here to the fastest part of your animation. So the fastest part of my animation is probably like at frame 35. And let's bring this strength right up. And now you have a really clean effect. You have a really clean shake effect. After the animation ends, I guess you can also keyframe the speed to just make it go slower so it doesn't shake a lot. And that looks perfect. Now you might have noticed that we do have these little transparent bits. All we can do to fix that is just go to edges, canvas, and then just change that to mirror. And boom, it's fixed. Also, I forgot to fix this actual transparent thing, so let's quickly fix that. All I did, I just got this whole map thing. I just Control C, Control V, and connect it back to the merge 3D and just make this bigger. Literally, that's literally all I did. And look, I mean, it looks fine. No one's gonna notice because of the post-process effects that we're gonna add soon. But I'm so lazy that I just don't bother. It's whatever. So let's go back to the camera shake, and this is looking pretty good. Let's also press this little button over here just to make it one viewer only. All right. Okay. Okay, that's looking pretty good to me. All right, now that we added that, let's bump up the colors a little bit. So let's get a brightness and contrast node. Just plop that right in. And I think let's just bring the contrast way up. Oh, once you get this node, you might need to also turn on lighting and shadows just so it doesn't, so you can see how it'll look in the final render. Let's open brightness and contrast. Let's slide the contrast way up. That is looking a little bit bright. All right, since it's so bright, let's just get this point light and just move it away a little bit more just to make it a little less brighter. All right, and go back into the brightness and contrast node, up the contrast max. That's what I did at least. Maybe just up the saturation a little bit too. And now let's add our post-process effects. Let's add a vignette, which will just give us a nice, that's a bit much. Wait, give me a second. That's looking really good. Look at that. That kind of looks like a globe. Look, that literally looks like a globe. Wait, how did I do that? Look, that just looks like Earth. And we're just zooming into like a small part of Earth. All right, anyways, let's make this softness a little bit higher. Make the size a bit more. I mean, I don't think we need a vignette for this that much because it's already kind of vignetted. It's kind of vignetted already with the lights. So you can add this if you want, or I'm just not going to add it for this one because it's already looking pretty good. Now let's add waviness. This will just give it a slight, that's not slight, but we'll make it slight. This will give it a slight wavy effect. This is, make this 100, let's make the strength just a little bit, just like maybe 0.8. And if we play that, we can see there's a little slight waviness effect. Let's make this a little more. And let's make the speed a little less. So now it has that little wavy effect. You can add this if you want. It's not necessary at all, but I just kind of like it because it just gives the scene a little bit more movement. Now let's add a flicker addition. This will just give us a nice flicker effect. Let's just make the range a little lower. There, you can see that little flicker effect. It's very, very subtle. These post-process effects are very, very subtle, but I just like them, low-key. Then now for the last post-process effect, let's add film grain. Just hold shift, slide it right in. And now we should have this little grain effect. Let's turn off log processing and let's turn off monochrome. So now it will have colors in it. And just look at that. I mean, that looks pretty sick to me. It's a bit strong right now though. So let's just take the strength a little bit lower. Maybe 200 and maybe 0.025. Also, we have to keep in mind, we are going to color grade this after. So the film grain will get accentuated a little bit. So either way, I think that looks pretty good. Now let's add the last effect to this fusion composition, and it'll be the drawing effect. So, I mean, we did screenshot this outline. We can still make it draw on. So what we do is we press shift space and let's add a mask paint. Just get that in, and on the outline PNG, just connect that mask paint to the blue triangle. So now you can see the outline has disappeared completely. So let's go to mask paint. Let's drag mask paint to the left viewer. In the mask paint viewer, just press polyline stroke. If we go over here on the right side and just turn up size, maybe to like 0.1. Now you can see if I draw something, it kind of shows up over here on the right side. It's a bit hard to see where it's supposed to be though. Press this brush shape, make it pretty big, and just draw around where you think it is. I don't really know a better way to do this. It does not need to be accurate at all. It is kind of hard to find where it is. All right, and there we go. We have it all masked out. So now we're gonna do this awesome little effect. This is actually awesome, I can't even lie. I have not done this before, and I just thought of this mask paint effect while I was about to sleep for this tutorial. So let's see how this looks. Let's see how this looks. So if we go down to stroke controls, I think there'll be a write on effect. So we'll be able to look. So if you see here, yeah, it'll just write on. Over here, it looks a little bit goofy. Let me fix that a little bit. We can move these points, which just fixes it. Boom. Perfect. That is perfect. We just have to keyframe this. So if we go to the start to 0, no, let's just go to maybe 40. And then let's just keyframe this and go to maybe 80 and just drag this little slider all the way to the end. And then go to the spline tab. This is getting a bit crowded. Let's uncheck start because we don't need that. And then we just press Control A, press S, and just tweak the easing a little bit. Make it a bit more eased. That is looking incredible. So if we just put it in one viewer only, look at this. Look at that effect. That is perfect. And it took like a fraction of the time, which is insane. So now that we have that effect, okay, it's a little bit off center, I can't lie. Let me change that. Now we are completely done on the fusion aspect. Wait, no, we're not. Wait, we're not completely done on the fusion aspect. I just missed one super important final touch, and that is fog. So if you press shift space and get a fast noise in, we just have to hold shift and put it right after render 3D to get the best results. Let's bring this fast noise up here, and it's gonna look a bit crazy right now, but let's bring the contrast down. Let's bring the brightness down, and let's just make it a slight little bit higher. Make the contrast a little higher too. And let's get the detail pretty high, maybe 6, 7. And let's get the scale pretty high right now because we are far away. So look, it kind of looks like clouds right now because we're like up in the sky. So let's get the scale pretty high. So 12 for scale. And now when it zooms in, we're gonna need to match. I have got to like turn off some things because it's slowing down my computer quite a lot. Boom, boom, boom. And then we turn off this. Maybe we should turn that on just to get like a nice reference. All right, this is the best we're gonna get. So if we go down here, when the animation ends, roughly when it ends, maybe like 75, and then bring the scale down. So it's kind of like you're traveling through the fog. So let's just see that right now. All right, that's not looking too bad. Let's go into the spline tab, press Control F. Let's make this a little bit bigger. All right, Control F, Control A, press S, and let's just match this animation with the camera's animation. And then if we do that, let's check the camera's animation actually. Let's go into camera and turn this on. Control F, Control A. So we can see ease in is at 88 and ease out is at 42. So we just press Control A in the fast noise, make this 88, make this 42. And that is looking pretty good. Now, okay, yeah, that is looking perfect. That is looking perfect. Let's make sure the scale goes a little bit lower, I think. I'm not too sure, to be honest. Let's get the detail right up to 10, honestly. I like it. I like it very detailed. And let's get the seethe rate up too. So let's make this maybe 0.2. So now, yeah, it looks like real fog. Yeah, you can see that. That is looking really quite good. That looks like fog in our scene. We are going to need to render this out now. So let's turn on everything. Let's turn on soft glow, mask paint, turn on everything that makes our computer so slow, but it's fine. Turn on these. And this is very, very important. Go to render 3D. If you want motion blur, then go to settings, click motion blur and increase the shutter angle to whatever you want. The more shutter angle, the more like motion blurry it is. For this one, I think I'm gonna do max. And for quality, this just makes your computer slower, like much slower if you have a higher quality. So let's make this quality up to 10 since we're gonna render it. Let's just render this out right now. You can render it out like normally, but I'm just gonna do render in place right here. I'm just gonna call it map animation. Map animation, QuickTime, ProRes, sure, that's fine. You could do H.264 if you want and render at source resolution, press render and select folder. Now just wait for that to happen, and then after this, we're gonna color grade this to make it look awesome. If you want the project files for this, just click the first link in the description. All right, so now it has been rendered. Oh, it kind of replaced the original fusion composition, which I didn't want. I totally forgot about that. So I'm just gonna Control C, and then I'm just gonna press Control Z, and so that brings back the fusion composition, and just press Control V, and now you have your animation right on top. We can just disable that. Now let's go into the color tab. So over here, we're just going to let's change the hue, which is down here. Just change the hue until it becomes like a reddish color. So let's just boost the color over here. I don't know, let's just tweak it however we want, honestly. We could do whatever we want. I'm gonna lower the highlights a little bit. Probably gonna increase the shadows, increase contrast maybe. All right, that looks pretty good to me. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna duplicate this. So hold Alt and then drag your mouse up. We're gonna go to composite. Then we're gonna go down to linear burn. So now it's gonna have this really like interesting effect. So this is what it was before, right? It doesn't look that bad. Then you put it on and it looks really cooked. But we could just lower the opacity here. So we could just like lower the strength, I guess. So what we'll do, let's go to the color tab. And let's like bring up the temperature, maybe change the hue still. Let's just decrease the highlights fully. Boost the color boost by 100, saturation by 100. Now it looks proper, just kind of cooked. Let's go back to the edit page. If you want to, yeah, okay, you have like a lot of choice here. You can make it look absolutely bland or cooked. But let's just go right in the middle, maybe like 65%. And there you go. Boom. That is perfect. Yo. Anyways, I'm gonna head out. Bristol out.